I reread chapter 26 at least 3 times now, just to see if there was any important plot points I missed that could affect the story in any way. Long story short, I found a few, and I'm gonna go over those when the time is right, but as it pertains to this video, I need to talk about a very important one. So if there's one thing I learned throughout my readings, it's that Eida might be finished. And there's a lot of indications that tell us this throughout not only this chapter, but multiple others as well. The cold hard truth is, Boruto is gonna do something to mess up this upcoming plan, and that screw up could lead to the end of the planet. Let me explain. Towards the end of the chapter, Kashin Koji was talking to Shikamaru, Inojin, and Boruto. He was about to discuss Mamushi's abilities and weaknesses, also how to defeat him. They need to do this because in just 1 week, Mamushi will arrive to Konoha with the sole purpose of devouring Eida for her genetic information. And when we're talking about genetic information as it pertains to Eida, it really all comes down to her Shibai cells, as he wants the power she inherited from it. When talking about genetic information in a special body such as Eida's, it's the set of instructions encoded in her DNA that determines her unique traits and functions. Stored in chromosomes within cells, this information dictates how the body develops, the structure and function of the cells, keyword, her cells, and it also influences inherited characteristics like eye color and height. Or when it pertains to a shinobi, maybe in Uchiha for an example because of their superior genes, when I say eye color, this would be referring to the Sharingan. So the last thing that needs to happen is Mamushi getting his hands on Eida. So Kashin Koji is about to come in clutch with this information he's about to share, because from seeing into the future, he already knows ways they can defeat Mamushi and come out victorious. I actually have to say real quick, Koji was going off in this chapter. Like, if there was any chapter where he displayed his insane influence in the story, this is that chapter. He constantly reminds us that he is just as important to saving the planet as Boruto is. And I think he deserves his own video really soon. Spoiler alert, it's coming soon. So anyway, this is what we're looking at for the next Shinju attack. Mamushi coming to Konoha to wreak havoc across the village, which is why we see Koji making so many moves throughout the chapter to prepare for that. His first move was to inform Eida of Mamushi's arrival. He's after Eida, so reminding her of this mere fact is very important, because not only can she become more aware of her surroundings, she can also prepare herself for this assault. Because judging by Koji's reaction in chapter 24 and chapter 26, it appears that DAEMON alone might not be enough to completely keep Eida safe. Because if Koji was 100% sure that in all timelines, DAEMON would defeat Mamushi, he would be way more relaxed about this. It's the uneasiness and worry that gets me. Koji knows something that we don't, so that's why he's so avidly trying to prepare for this fight. That was the big question mark regarding this fight. Can DAEMON actually fight Mamushi and come out victorious? As someone who is considered the strongest character right now, that's among the quote-unquote allies of Konoha, he's the only person who many can confidently say he probably wouldn't lose to Mamushi. And I used to believe that, but now I'm not so sure. It might not be so simple as just throwing DAEMON, Kawaki, or Boruto at Mamushi and just telling them to figure it out. You see, right before the Hokage conference meeting, Koji made it clear to Shikamaru that his role is detrimental to the next Shinju being defeated, and ultimately, Konoha remaining safe. And in this meeting, he bears the risk of being removed from the chair of Hokage. When he said worst case scenario, he would be removed as Hokage, he means that Shikamaru cannot be fired no matter what. And if he ends up being fired, it could ultimately damage the future timeline. This information is of course based off his prescient Shinjutsu. So sometime this upcoming week, Shikamaru being the Hokage will actually be an aid in this upcoming battle against Mamushi. And not only that, but him being the Hokage is also going to aid him against the other Shinju as well. As the Hokage, there is just certain things that you can make happen. It's already helped Koji multiple times. The most recent time was at the beginning of the Tsunagakure arc. This conversation between Shikamaru and Koji set everything up for the future of the manga. When he told him to deploy Sarada, Konohamaru, and Mitsuki to the Land of Wind, it was because he needed a certain future outcome to play out. And the only one who could give out that mission officially as a Hokage order would be Shikamaru. Plus, he didn't want to reveal his identity to any of them yet, so going through Shikamaru was the best possible way to go about this. And having all three on this mission was also mandatory because each of them played a role in destroying both Matsuri and Ryu. Konohamaru was the only one capable of keeping Matsuri busy, keeping her busy long enough for Sarada and the others to deal with Ryu. It's because of her unwavering attraction to him, confusing her, and delaying him getting devoured. So of course all this was to ensure that Sarada awakens her Mangekyo Sharingan, which was the main reason why Sarada needed to be on this mission. Mitsuki was there for support. He would need someone to stay and tend to Sarada, especially after Sarada passed out, which would allow Araya to escape and return the Thorn Soul to Shinki. So I repeat, all three of these characters were detrimental to this mission going smoothly, and it allowed Koji to push the plans forward of saving the planet, and he told Shikamaru to not let Himawari outside of Konoha, otherwise JURA would devour her. This is also important for obvious reasons, because at the time, JURA claimed Himawari as his target. Not only was that to keep Himawari from dying, but it was also because Himawari will have a very important role in the future to save the planet, so if she dies, that makes things so much more difficult later on down the road. He also told Shikamaru so much other things that would be in favor to Konoha's survival from the Shinju. All these things became possible because Shikamaru was in power. So if he's not, this stops, and it makes it so much harder to keep Konoha safe from the outside. So yeah, Shikamaru keeping his job was and is still necessary for the survival of Konoha. So now you see all of Koji's efforts to save the planet and protect Eida from Mamushi, keeping Shikamaru in office, warning Eida, making Inujin help them get in contact with Shikamaru, and potentially telling everyone all of Mamushi's abilities and how to deal with them. But I fear Koji, well, not only Koji, but everyone may have overlooked one crucial detail left behind for us in chapter 26, and that has to do with Boruto and Koji's argument. So we see as Koji is trying to talk to Boruto about the deal he made with Momoshiki, Boruto seems a bit upset with Koji, and this anger stemmed from this unresolved misunderstanding they had back in the Land of Wind, specifically when Yodo died to Ryu. Boruto is mad because Koji didn't tell him what was really supposed to happen. He didn't tell him that Yodo would be sacrificed for the awakening of Sarada's MS. Boruto might have felt that he could have prevented such death if given the chance, but Koji never told him this detail about the future. I still am a firm believer in Yodo's death being necessary to move the plot forward. I don't think Boruto could have stopped this from happening completely. And I only say this because we know prior to Boruto going to Sunagakure, he was being hunted down by JURA. Koji told him multiple times if he went to Sunagakure, JURA would appear and try to kill him on the spot. So if he went earlier, this will cause even more trouble because even though Yodo probably lives in this scenario, they would still have to defeat Ryu. And with Sarada's MS not active, Matsuri still alive, and JURA on the way to the battlefield, it would become way too hectic on the battlefield to ensure there wouldn't be any more casualties. And might I add, Kawaki would still get there at the same time, but it's not certain that they can survive that long, especially with JURA now joining in the fight. That's why I say, as strong and overpowered Boruto may appear to be, this would be too much for him to handle. But I mean, it's Boruto. He was raised by Naruto. Of course he's not just gonna be okay with an innocent person dying, especially if he feels he could have done something about it. So now this is the problem he has with Koji. It's not so much that Yodo died, it's that he's not treating him like a true partner. He's treating him like a kid. By not telling him these certain details about the future, he's rapidly hurting their alliance. He's hurting the already shaky trust that Boruto had in him. So at this point, Boruto has no reason to 100% listen to Koji if he feels that he's not getting all the important information from these visions. In Boruto's mind, Koji could be willing to risk anyone's life to get the ideal future outcome. Sarada, Sumire, Himawari, Team 10, whatever. To Boruto, Koji showed his heartlessness. He can make the hard choices. He's willing to be the bad guy if it means saving the planet. So how is this argument gonna affect the upcoming battle against Mamushi? Now that we learned the trust between Boruto and Koji is still shaky, this affects future outcomes involving Boruto. Because remember, Boruto still being a member of the Singularities of Fate, he has a role to fulfill when it comes to making the necessary changes to the timeline. And these orders to change the timeline are coming directly from Kashin Koji. It's like when he told Boruto that the Shinju have arrived in Konoha. This was Boruto's cue to go to Konoha to help chase them out of the village. Throughout this mission, Boruto played his role perfectly, which is to be the muscle of the group and listen to exactly what Koji tells you to do because he's the one who could see into the future. So he knows what needs to happen to reach a favorable outcome. but this is gone now. This will happen again with this new animosity Boruto has towards Koji. So in this new mission to destroy Mamushi, Koji needs Boruto to follow along accordingly, but due to his growing anxiety, he fears that he'll never have every detail there is to know about Koji's visions, which will eventually cause him to start acting on his own and interfering with the timeline that Koji is trying to influence to a specific outcome. In other words, screwing everything up. This is Boruto's new fear. He wants to save the planet and his parents without anyone dying but him if necessary. And Koji's plans conflict with this way of thinking because just like back in Sunagakure, we learned he has no problem sacrificing innocent people if he feels it's necessary to obtain the right future. Let's say as an example, Koji tells Boruto to let Sarada and Daemon battle it out. Them fighting will cause some other event to trigger, which will help them overall in the next fight against Mamushi. Boruto can just say, nah Koji, you're not getting me this time. No way I'm gonna let my beloved Sarada die to Daemon so you can achieve the best possible future. Boruto then gets involved when he shouldn't, and it prevents something from happening which will make the best outcome unobtainable. Maybe Sarada reveals the ability of her left eye in this fight. Maybe Daemon realizes a glaring weakness he had in his Shinjutsu that he was unaware of that could potentially cause him to lose this fight against Mamushi, a weakness that only Sarada could bring to the light. You see, it was only an example, but these are the kind of things that could easily twist the events of the timeline. So Boruto not trusting Koji could cause several things to go wrong in the future. Like I said, it could cause a huge disruption in the events of this specific timeline. So much so that it could result in the worst possible future, which is Eida getting devoured. And that of course would raise even more problems for that future. If Mamushi is after Eida for control over her superior genetics, theoretically, you could give him access to the verse's most overpowered upgrade, Shibai cells, and the ultimate power known in the franchise, the Senragon. May I remind you, Eida's genetics is the source of her power. It's not who she is, but what she is. She's able to do things that should be impossible for the average mortal to accomplish. And it's those powers that make her such a threat in the story. Mamushi devouring Eida could lead to the end of the planet as we know it. So him gaining Eida's genetic information means also gaining her power. It's very possible he just gains the Senragon's abilities just from devouring her, as he said. He's after Eida for her genetic information, meaning her ocular abilities she awakened because of her Shibai cells. The Shinju with the Senragon is a whole nother issue, because then this eliminates all safety Boruto and Koji has. They'll be able to be spied on from wherever they are, and with them already wanting to eliminate Koji, it just makes it that much easier for them to identify and just destroy them. As one of the abilities of the Senragon is to view events that are happening in the past or in real time, so they'll be able to literally see Boruto and Koji plot their next moves in real time. It'll really be the end for not only Koji, but every advantage they had because of prescience. In worst case scenario, Kashin Koji will be killed, leaving Boruto and Kawaki to deal with the threat of the Shinju without help. So I can't stress this enough. This argument by Boruto and Koji could cause so many more problems for them, and they don't even see it yet. But when they do, I'm afraid it'll be too late. So like I said in the beginning of the video, Boruto is gonna do something to mess up this upcoming plan, and that screw up could lead to the end of the planet. So if you think this is a reality for Boruto and Koji, let me know why you feel like that and what can be done to avoid it. And if you don't, let me know why in the comment section as well. And as always, if you enjoyed this video and don't mind seeing more like this in the near future, go ahead and like the video, comment, subscribe, and turn on the post notifications so you don't miss any more videos like this or when I go live for chapter spoilers. And until my next one, I'll see you boys and girls later, and I'm out. Peace.